I gripped my water glass too tightly as Mom slid the thick cream envelope across the dining table. It was high-quality cardstock from a local boutique print shop, hand-addressed with shimmering gold ink, because heaven forbid my sister have a birthday invitation without a fancy font that looked like it cost $400 just for 50 pieces of paper. Are they not lovely? Mom beamed, watching Bianca distribute the envelopes around the table. The woman at the shop said it was the most tasteful design she had put together all month. It really makes a statement. Dad cleared his throat, his chest puffing with pride. I managed to reserve the private back room at Miller's Bistro. I had to talk to the manager 3 times to get the Saturday night slot, but for my girl turning 25, I wanted to make sure we had a place where everyone could see us. Bianca squealed, flipping her blonde hair over one shoulder. I've already got 40 people confirmed on the group chat, and that is before these even go out. Aunt Sarah's daughter only had 30 people at her little backyard party last month, and she thought that was a big deal. She smirked. Wait until she sees the photos from this. It's my quarter-life crisis party. I took a sip of water, letting the ice clink against my teeth. 10 years of these conversations had passed. 10 years of watching Bianca's birthday turn into a neighborhood event while mine passed with a grocery store cake and a happy birthday text if I was lucky. Mom turned to me, sliding a worn manila folder across the table with her neatly painted nails. A standard retail credit card sat on top. We need you to handle the coordination again this year, dear. You are so much better with the spreadsheets and the phone calls than the rest of us. The way she said it, it was as if she was giving me a promotion instead of handing me a second job. I stared at the folder. Inside were printouts from Pinterest, printouts of catering menus, and a list of local bakeries. It was the same folder I had received since I was 17, each year growing thicker with demands for aesthetic perfection. Make sure they have that gourmet cupcake tower like the one on my mood board. Bianca interrupted, not bothering to look up from her phone. But with the real buttercream, not the cheap sugary stuff they use at the supermarket. Dad tapped the credit card. That is our contribution this year, $1,000 now, and your mother will have the remaining $500 in cash for you next week, Kendall. We know the total bill for the restaurant, the open bar, and the food is going to be around $6,000, but we expect you to cover the remaining $4,500 as your birthday gift to your sister. After all, 25 is a big one. We will pay you back when things settle down. He chuckled as if it were a joke we both enjoyed, even though he still owed me for the car repairs I covered last summer. My fingers closed around the folder. They were trembling, but no one noticed. No one ever noticed. I saw myself at 18, staying home from the lake trip to handwrite Bianca's graduation party thank you notes. I saw myself at 22, missing my own celebratory lunch because Bianca's birthday balloon arch arrived deflated and someone needed to drive 40 miles to find a replacement. I saw myself at 25, watching my meager savings account drain as I covered the $1,800 surprise live acoustic band Bianca insisted on at the last minute. I was still waiting for that money to return to my account. I saw my own birthdays exactly 2 weeks after Bianca's passing in a blur of leftover paper plates and distracted well wishes. We are all so tired from the big party. Mom always said, let us just do something simple at home. Simple meant forgotten. Simple meant a quick phone call at 8 in the evening. Simple meant nothing at all. Kendall? Did you hear me? Mom waved her hand in front of my face. I said we need the restaurant deposit confirmed by Friday afternoon. Yes, I said automatically. I heard you. Later that day, in my small apartment, I spread the contents of the folder across my kitchen counter. The theme was rose gold dreams because the garden party idea was too common, according to Bianca's latest text. The budget was locked at $6,000. My laptop sat open to my bank account, $6,245.80. That was my entire life savings, built dollar by dollar from my administrative assistant's salary. They wanted me to spend nearly 75% of every cent I had on a party for a sister who had never even asked if I needed help with my rent. I had never celebrated a birthday properly. Not once in 27 years. I looked at the screen of my phone and saw a message from Rachel that had been sitting in our thread for 6 months. It was a link to a beach house with a loft in Destin, Florida. This is still available for your birthday week, Kendall. the old message read. Just say the word. For 2 years, I had been the reason that group chat was silent. I was the one who always said, "We will see," or I don't have the money. Something shifted inside me like tectonic plates that had been grinding against each other for years. Finally breaking free. The $4,000 it would cost did not feel like a burden anymore. It felt like the price of my soul. I closed Bianca's folder and clicked the link Rachel had sent. I did not just book it for myself. I took a screenshot of the confirmation and sent it to the group chat. I am going 1 week early to be alone and hide. You guys fly in for the 2nd week. Destin is booked. Check your emails, which I immediately renamed The Great Escape. My phone buzzed. It was Rachel. Oh my goodness! Finally! I have had my vacation folder ready since last Christmas. I am telling Lisa to grab her flight before the prices spike. I felt something unfamiliar bloom in my chest as I entered my debit card information. It was not guilt. It was not fear. It was freedom. The next day, at the office, my phone vibrated for the 12th time that morning. I knew it was either Mom or Bianca without looking. The constant buzzing against my wooden desk had become so distracting that Janet from accounting had started giving me worried looks over her cubicle wall. "Kendall, your phone is going off like crazy," my boss Mark commented as he passed my desk. He paused, noticing my frustrated expression. "Is everything okay at home?" I nodded, flipping the phone over to see 15 new text messages. Mom wanted to know if the restaurant allowed outside decorations. Bianca had changed her mind on the cake flavor from vanilla to salted caramel. "Sorry, I will put it on silent." I slid the phone into my drawer, but Mark's hand on my shoulder stopped me. "Take a few minutes in the break room if you need to handle it. You are always on top of your work anyway. You deserve a moment to yourself." The moment he walked away, my phone lit up with Mom's face. I stepped into the break room and answered. "Kendall, I have been trying to reach you all morning," Mom said without a greeting. "I need you to call the bakery. Bianca wants a much larger tier for the cake now. She saw a photo online and says the original $350 design looks stingy for 50 people. Mom, we are already pushing the $6,000 mark for the whole event. A larger base tier and custom fondant work is going to cost another $200 for the cake alone. It's only a couple $100, dear. This is Bianca's 25th. We have got to make it look nice for the family. Aunt Sarah is already asking if we are doing a sit-down dinner." The break room door opened, and Janet entered to grab a coffee, then quickly backed out when she saw my face. I lowered my voice. "The budget is already too high." "You gave me $1,500 and you expect me to find $4,500? I don't have that kind of extra cash lying around, Mom." "Well, you can use your savings for now. Your father will pay you back in installments later this year. I don't be difficult about this." "Like the money for the tires?" The words slipped out before I could stop them. "Kendall Elizabeth, I don't appreciate that attitude." "Oh. I almost forgot I will be stopping by your office on my way to the grocery store. I have some sample ribbons for the party favors." Before I could protest, she hung up. I gripped the edge of the laminate counter, breathing slowly through my nose. I checked my bank account on my phone after I booked the beach house. The remaining balance was enough to get me through the month, but only if I was very careful. Rachel and Lisa, my best friend from college, and my former roommate, had already seen the confirmation in The Great Escape. They knew I was covering the accommodation, so they immediately started coordinating via Venmo to cover the rental car, groceries, and fancy dinners. They were not going to let me spend another cent. After the lunch break and the meeting with my mother, who spent 20 minutes talking about Bianca's vision while I stood in the parking lot, I returned to my desk. A wave of heat flushed up my neck. I slipped away to the restroom, locking myself in a stall as my hands shook. That night, at home, I pulled out old family photo albums from my closet. There was page after page of Bianca's celebrations, her sweet 16 at the community center, her 21st at that expensive steakhouse, her 24th with a weekend at the lake with 10 of her friends. I flipped through my old journals, and the entries had become a painful pattern. April 18, my 18th birthday. We went to Bianca's track meet. Dad bought me a burger on the way home and said we would do a cake later. They forgot. April 18. No one mentioned my birthday at dinner. I bought myself a cupcake on the way home from work. April 18. Rachel took me to the movies. No family. I slammed the journal shut and turned in early. I had a long journey ahead of me. The next morning at work, Michael from accounting leaned against my cubicle. "Hey, do you have a second?" I followed him to the break room. "So I heard about your Florida plan. I have some airline vouchers that are about to expire. How about I use one to get you a seat with extra legroom and priority boarding for your trip?" Unexpected tears pricked my eyes. "Michael, I don't have to do that." "Hey, you do a lot for everyone in this office. Consider it a thank you for always keeping the supply closet organized and the coffee fresh." He showed me the confirmation on his screen. "All set. Enjoy the flight." The contrast between these genuine gestures and my family's constant demands felt like stepping out of a dark room into the sun. Friday evening at my parents' house. I showed them the finalized plans for the bistro, fake menus and fake reservation receipts I made on my computer showing the full $6,000 total. "You are such a lifesaver, Kendall," Mom said, barely glancing at the papers. She slid an envelope across the table. "Here is another check to add to the $1,500 deposit we gave you. That should cover the basics, right?" Dad nodded, his eyes fixed on the television. "Bianca's worried the room is too small now. See if you can get them to move some tables around." "I will handle it," I said automatically, but this time, the words felt like a secret I was keeping just for myself. On Monday, I deposited the check into my account. The teller smiled at me. "Going on a trip?" "Yes," I answered, a genuine smile finally reaching my eyes. Something just for me. During a family dinner the following Saturday, the kitchen felt cramped as we sat around the small table for another update session. It was 1 week before Bianca's birthday, and the atmosphere was as tense as a business merger. "The centerpieces need to be bigger," Bianca insisted, poking at her salad. "I saw Aunt Sarah's table at the reunion, and if mine does not look better than hers, I will be embarrassed to post anything." Mom nodded in agreement while Dad checked the time on his phone. I sat quietly, making fake notes in my planner while mentally double-checking my suitcase list. "We might need another $500 for the decorations," Dad said, sighing as he looked at his bank app. "Kendall, can you just put that on your card for now? We will figure out a way to pay you back by summer." I nodded, the motion being a habit I was finally ready to break. My savings account was holding steady, thanks to my careful budgeting and the fact that I had not spent a dime of my own money on this event. "By the way," Dad said, looking up as if he had just remembered a random fact, "is your birthday coming up soon too?" Before I could even open my mouth, Mom interjected. "We will just do a little pizza night here at the house for her after the big bistro party is over. Nothing fancy, but it will be nice for us to just relax." The old Kendall would have said, "That is fine." This Kendall just wrote pizza in large letters in her notebook and circled it twice. "Classic," I said, my voice dripping with a sarcasm they were too self-absorbed to notice. After all, nothing says, "Happy 27th" like lukewarm pepperoni and the silence of being an afterthought. "That sounds like exactly what you always do, Mom," I added silently to myself. The next morning, I sent an email to Mark at the office requesting my vacation days. "Family situation," I wrote. It was not a lie. The situation was that I was finally leaving the family drama behind. On Wednesday, I packed my bags late at night when I was certain no one would show up at my door. Each item I folded felt like a victory: the bright yellow sundress I bought on sale, the swimsuit I had been hiding in the back of my drawer, the sandals I only wore when I was feeling brave. The beach house with a loft was waiting for me. When Bianca texted me demanding I find silk ribbons for the party favors, I waited an hour before replying. When Mom called to ask about changing the appetizer list for the 3rd time, I let it go to voicemail. Those were small steps, but they made me feel stronger. The final payment for the house and the private dolphin tour hit my account on Thursday, $4,000 well spent for my 27th birthday. I looked at the confirmation on my phone, a warmth spreading through my chest. It was mine. No one could take this from me. That night, my phone rang late. Dad's voice was loud through the speaker. "Emergency meeting at the house, Kendall. Bianca is having a meltdown about the guest list." I arrived to find Bianca sitting at the kitchen table, tears in her eyes. 3 more people from my old high school class said, "They're coming. That makes 53. Where are they going to sit?" "The room is only rated for 50. This is going to be a total mess." Mom was rubbing her shoulders while Dad looked at me with that familiar heavy expectation. "You can fix this, honey," Mom said. "Just call the manager and tell them we need more space." 3 pairs of eyes were on me. Bianca's were desperate, Mom's were pleading, and Dad's were demanding. The old Kendall would have already been on the phone, apologizing to the manager and offering to pay extra. I took a deep breath and looked at them. "I have it all under control. I don't worry about it." The words hung in the air. They thought I was promising to solve Bianca's social crisis. I knew I was confirming that my exit was perfectly timed. Dad's shoulders dropped in relief. "I knew we could count on you to handle the heavy lifting. If they only knew." At dawn the next morning, my alarm went off at 3:30. I was already awake. I wheeled my suitcase out the front door, locking it behind me with a satisfying click. My taxi had already been waiting at the curb for 5 minutes. The drive to the airport felt like I was finally driving toward my own life. Once inside the terminal, I grabbed a coffee from an automated kiosk, the bitter warmth grounding me. At the check-in counter, the agent smiled at me. "You've been moved to a seat with extra legroom, Miss Matthews. Have a great flight." Rachel's text arrived just as I was queuing at the gate. "Enjoy the solitude before we get there. Love you." As the plane pulled away from the gate, I switched my phone to airplane mode. All the missed calls and emergency texts from my family vanished. A wave of peace washed over me. Later that day, I was standing in the sun, squinting against the bright Florida light. I drove toward the coast until I saw a small, pale blue beach house with a loft, a screen porch, and a view of the white sand. For the first week, I was alone with the ocean. For the second week, my friends would fill the loft with laughter. I recorded a new voicemail. "Hi, this is Kendall. I am not available for the next 2 weeks. Please leave a message, and I will get back to you when I return." Unavailable. It was the best I had felt in years. That evening, I walked on the beach. As the sun started to set, the warm water rippled over my feet. I thought about all the years I spent making sure everyone else was happy while I stayed in the shadows. For the first time, I let myself feel how much it hurt to be ignored by my own family. A few tears fell, but they felt like a release. On the Saturday of Bianca's birthday, Miller's Bistro was crowded with the usual weekend dinner rush. At 6:15 in the evening, the 50 guests Bianca invited began to arrive. They were dressed in their best party clothes, expecting to be ushered into a private, decorated room with an open bar. At 6:45, the small parking lot was full. Confused relatives and friends from the neighborhood gathered at the front entrance, holding their gold-inked invitations. At exactly 7 o'clock, Bianca pulled up in Dad's car, wearing a new dress she had bought for the occasion. She walked into the bistro, followed by my parents, expecting to see rose gold dreams everywhere. Instead, she saw a busy restaurant full of strangers. "Hi, I'm here for the Matthews party, the room for 50, Bianca said to the young woman at the host stand. The hostess looked at her screen, her brow furrowing. "I have a Kendall Matthews here, but it's just a regular table for 3 in the corner." The prefix menu was selected, and the $850 prepayment, which covers the savory courses and the peach cupcakes, has already been applied. "Would you like me to show you to your table?" The lobby went silent. Behind Bianca, her friends and the cousins were already whispering and pulling out their phones. "Where is the rest of it?" Bianca's voice was high and sharp. "Where is the private room? The decorations? The cupcake tower?" Mom was frantically pulling her phone out of her purse. "There must be a misunderstanding," she said to the hostess. "Our daughter handled the whole thing. We gave her the money for the full event." The manager came over, looking at a printout. "I am sorry, Mrs. Matthews. The individual who handled the booking directly specifically opted for only a corner table for 3 this evening. We have no other information or instructions on file. You may want to verify the details with Miss Kendall Matthews. I apologize for any confusion. We are completely booked tonight." "There is nothing we can move. I did not cancel the party. I just let my family's assumption that I would handle the bill, do the work for me." Outside on the sidewalk, Bianca was practically shouting into her phone. "Kendall, answer me! What did you do? You ruined everything!" She was staring at her phone screen, her face red with frustration. Every call went straight to my recorded message. Mom was pacing back and forth, her phone pressed to her ear. "Kendall, it's Mom. Call me right now. There is a huge problem at the restaurant. Just call me back." She hung up and tried again immediately. Maybe something happened to her, Dad said, looking genuinely worried as he loosened his tie. "Should we be calling the police?" "I told everyone this was going to be the party of the year." Bianca wailed as her friends started to make awkward excuses about having other places to be. "Everyone is going to think we are broke. This is so embarrassing." The social media meltdown was instantaneous. I watched from the beach as the piping hot tea started to flow. Guests were posting photos of the empty lobby and the confused family. By 8:30, Bianca was sitting on the couch at home, scrolling through her phone and crying. Marissa already posted a photo of the empty lobby. Everyone knows. At that same moment, in Florida, I was lying on a lounge chair while the sound of the ocean filled the air. I had not looked at my phone in days. My friends had arrived for the second week, and the house was full of the people who actually cared. On my actual birthday, a few days later, I was sitting on the sand at sunrise. Rachel took a photo of me holding a cup of coffee, looking at the bright orange sky with a real peaceful smile. "What is the caption for this one?" she asked. 27 years and I finally showed up for myself. My actual birthday." Within an hour, people were commenting. They were friends from work, old high school classmates, and even some of the cousins who were at the restaurant disaster. Aunt Susan left a comment too. "Enjoy every second of your day." Later that afternoon, after the dolphin tour, I took a quick look at Bianca's social media. She posted a tearful selfie with the caption, "A day I will never forget for all the wrong reasons." The comments were full of people asking what happened, and Bianca was replying with things like, "My sister let us all down." That evening I checked the notification count on my phone. There were 60 missed calls and over 100 texts. My friends were watching me, making sure I was okay as I scrolled past the angry messages from my parents. "Are you ready for cake?" Lisa asked, bringing out a small lemon cake with a single candle. Rachel took a photo of me in front of the candle, with the moon reflecting on the ocean behind me. "What is the caption for this one?" Lisa asked. I looked at the photo at how bright and happy I looked. Just, finally seen. I posted the photo, and then turned the phone off completely. "Let us go for a walk," I said, standing up. The weight that had been on my shoulders for years felt like it had finally evaporated. The day I flew back home, my phone came to life the second the plane landed. The notifications were endless. There were 3 voicemails from Dad, 10 texts from Mom, and a long, angry email from Bianca. I sat in my seat for a moment, taking a deep breath before I listened to the first message. "You have got a lot of explaining to do, Kendall." Dad's voice was low and angry. "You embarrassed your mother and sister. Get to the house as soon as you get in." Mom's text was just as bad. "I cannot believe you would do this to us. Everyone in the neighborhood is talking about the restaurant. How could you be so selfish?" Bianca's email was just a long list of how I ruined her life, and how she would never forgive me for making her look bad in front of her friends. Only Aunt Susan's message was different. "They're all waiting for you at the house. Stay strong, Kendall. Remember that you have every right to your own life." In the airport restroom, I looked at myself in the mirror. Rachel said, "Don't let them make you feel small again. You did what you had to do." "I know," I said, straightening my shoulders. "I am not that person anymore." An hour later, my ride dropped me off at my apartment building. I had just stepped inside to set down my luggage when my phone began to chime incessantly. It was my mother, her voice thick with indignation when I finally answered. "We need to talk, Kendall. You need to explain all of this. We're outside your apartment right now." I took a slow, steadying breath. "Meet me at the park around the corner," I replied. "Why?" Her voice flickered with a moment of genuine surprise. "Because it's a condition," I said, my voice as level as a horizon line. The night breeze in the park whipped at our hair. Yet the air felt strangely comfortable, though I suspected I was the only one who felt that way. How could you do something so cruel? Mom started. We trusted you with that party, and you just walked away. Dad turned toward me, his face set like stone. We have always supported you, Kendall, and this is how you treat your sister on her 25th birthday? You have always been so bitter about my life, Bianca added, her voice trembling with practiced fragility. I looked at them. I did not apologize. I have spent the last 10 years making sure everyone else in this family was happy, I said, my voice surprisingly calm. I have spent my savings, my time, and my energy making sure Bianca had everything she wanted, even when I was being ignored. I looked back at my calendars. For 10 years, we have had a big celebration for Bianca. And for 10 years, my birthday was treated like a chore that you forgot to do. You told me a pizza night was enough for me, so I decided that a corner table was enough for Bianca's party. Dad looked away, shifting his weight. That is not the same thing. It's exactly the same thing. I spent $4,000 of my own hard-earned money to finally have a birthday that was about me. I used $850 to settle the bill for that table for 3. As for the rest, well, consider it your first real contribution to my birthday. After all these years, I'd say it was about time. Everything fell into silence, punctuated only by the rustle of leaves and the faint hum of insects in the dark. Under the warm glow of the park's lampposts, the scene looked almost romantic, a stark, ironic contrast to the hollowed-out people standing within it. I need to get to bed early. Goodbye, I said, turning my back on them. I left them there, frozen and motionless. I walked briskly toward my building, and with every step, I felt the distance grow, the distance I knew I needed to finally protect myself. A year had passed since that trip to Florida. I was in my apartment, putting up a few simple decorations for my 28th birthday. The place looked different then. I had added more of my own personality to the rooms, with photos from my travels and colors that made me feel happy. I had gotten a new haircut that I loved, and I was wearing a dress that made me feel confident. The doorbell rang, and Rachel walked in with a cake, followed by Lisa. Aunt Susan was right behind them, carrying a small gift. Happy birthday, Kendall, they all shouted. You look wonderful, Aunt Susan said, giving me a hug. You look like you are finally at home in your own skin. I smiled. She was right. I did not feel like I had to hide anymore. That past year had been a lot of work. Every 2 weeks our group chat still named The Great Escape met for dinner. They had become my chosen family, the ones who celebrated my wins and held me up when I was tired. I did not need a formal counselor. I just needed to stop being invisible. Time for presents, Lisa said, gesturing to the table. They had given me things they knew I actually liked, books by my favorite authors and a new plant for my balcony. Aunt Susan's gift was a framed photo of me when I was 5, smiling at a cupcake. I found this in an old box, she said. I wanted you to remember that you have always been someone worth celebrating. So, what is the plan for next year? Rachel asked, handing me a glass of cider. I think I will just keep doing exactly what I am doing, I said, being present in my own life instead of just managing everyone else's. The day before, a new girl started at my office. She reminded me of how I used to be. I took her to lunch and told her that her ideas mattered. It felt good to pass that on. I had a note in my journal from that morning, the year I finally showed up. Later, after the cake was eaten and my friends had gone home, I stood on my balcony and looked at the city lights. I felt a sense of peace that I never thought I would have. I had completely severed every last tie with my family. I no longer harbored even a shadow of hope for a reconciliation, not after they had spent the year following Bianca's birthday fallout systematically poisoning the minds of our relatives and neighbors against me. But their desperate attempts to drag me back down into the dirt had proved utterly futile. Their words could no longer reach the heights I had built for myself. It was the best gift I could ever give myself, the permission to matter. I was finally, truly, the main character in my own story.
I set my fork down with the kind of deliberate calm that makes people nervous. The noise at Aunt Elaine's dining table doesn't stop right away. Uncle Greg is still mid-sentence about something involving his golf handicap, and my cousin Brittany is scrolling through her phone, half listening to her husband complain about traffic. The Thanksgiving spread covers every inch of the oak table: turkey, stuffing, 3 kinds of potatoes, green bean casserole that nobody really wants but everyone pretends to appreciate. Mom's laughter cuts through it all. That performative, too loud sound that makes my shoulders tense before my brain catches up. Madison is 30, and still renting a shoebox, she announces to the entire table, gesturing with her wine glass. Red sloshes dangerously close to the rim. Can you believe it? Meanwhile, Brittany just bought that gorgeous condo in the city. The room doesn't go quiet. Not yet, but I feel the shift. That microscopic change in air pressure when people realize something is about to happen. Brittany looks up from her phone, uncomfortable. Mom didn't help us with the down payment or anything. Of course not, Mom says, waving her hand dismissively. You and Trevor are responsible adults who plan for the future. Her eyes land on me, and there's that familiar glint, the one that says she's enjoying this. Some of us just can't seem to get our financial lives together. My hands rest flat on either side of my plate. The tablecloth is cream-colored, probably expensive. Aunt Elaine always goes all out for holidays. I count the floral pattern repeating itself. Once, twice, 3 times. You're absolutely right, Mom. The words come out even, almost pleasant. Mom's smile widens, mistaking my agreement for surrender. She's about to launch into another comparison, probably about my car or my job or the fact that I haven't been on a vacation in 3 years. I should be saving more money. Uncle Greg nods approvingly. Aunt Elaine refills her wine, satisfied that this uncomfortable moment is resolving itself the way it should. With me accepting my role as the family disappointment, that's why I canceled the standing mortgage transfer to your account this morning. The silence this time is absolute. Mom's wine glass freezes halfway to her mouth. Her expression does something I've never seen before, a sort of rapid cycling through confusion, disbelief, and landing hard on panic. The color drains from her face in stages, like watching a Polaroid develop in reverse. You what? The $1,800 transfer? I continue, keeping my voice steady. The one that's been going out on the 1st of every month for the last 2 years? I canceled it. Good luck with the mortgage, Mom. Aunt Elaine's fork clatters against her plate. Uncle Greg clears his throat, suddenly fascinated by the pattern on his napkin. Brittany's eyes go wide, her phone forgotten in her lap. Madison. Mom's voice has an edge now, sharp enough to draw blood. This isn't funny. I'm not laughing. Earlier that day, I sat in my car in Elaine's driveway, staring at my phone. The banking app was open, showing the scheduled transfers screen. $1,800 on the 1st. Every single month. Never late, never missed. I scrolled through the history, watching my checking account balance drain and refill in a rhythm I'd memorized. Paycheck in, mortgage payment out, bills, groceries. Whatever was left went into savings that never seemed to grow. My finger hovered over the cancel recurring transfer button. I'd pulled up this screen before, dozens of times, but I'd always closed the app, convinced myself that next month would be different. That eventually, Mom would acknowledge what I was doing. That she'd at least stop humiliating me at family gatherings. The button turned red when I held it down. Are you sure you want to cancel this recurring transfer? I pressed confirm. Now, sitting at this table surrounded by the people who are supposed to be my family, I watch the power dynamic shatter like dropped crystal. You can't be serious. Mom's voice rises. Madison Ann Wright, you sit down and tell me you're joking right now. I'm already standing, reaching for my coat from the back of my chair. My hands don't shake. Not yet. That will come later. I'm completely serious. After everything I've done for you? Mom pushes back from the table, nearly knocking over her chair. I raised you. I sacrificed for you. And this is how you repay me? The room holds its breath. This is the part where I'm supposed to apologize, where I back down and promise to reinstate the transfer, and beg forgiveness for embarrassing her in front of the family. Everyone knows the script. I pull my coat on, button by button. The movements feel mechanical, like I'm watching someone else's hands. Enjoy your dinner. Madison, Mom's voice follows me toward the front door. You get back here right now. You can't just walk out. Madison. Aunt Elaine starts to rise, probably to block my path or deliver some speech about family duty. But something in my face stops her. Maybe it's the way I'm not crying, or the way my jaw is set. Or maybe it's just that after 30 years of being the peacekeeper, the people pleaser, the invisible daughter who pays her mother's mortgage while living in a studio apartment she can barely afford. I'm finally done performing. The November air hits my face as I step outside. Cold, sharp, real. My car is parked at the curb under a streetlight. I slide into the driver's seat and close the door, muffling the sounds of the chaos I just left behind. The engine starts with a familiar rumble. My hands find the steering wheel, and that's when they start to shake. Not from regret, from the adrenaline of finally standing up. I stare at the dark windshield, watching my breath fog the glass. Inside that house, Mom is probably crying now. Aunt Elaine is consoling her. The family is probably already deciding I'm the villain in this story. But I'm not going back in. Not tonight. Not ever. The next day, the spreadsheet glows on my laptop screen. Each row a small betrayal documented in Arial 11-point font. I've been sitting at my kitchen table for 3 hours now, cross-referencing bank statements with calendar dates, building a timeline of exactly how much I've bled. The apartment is quiet, except for the hum of my refrigerator and the occasional click of my mouse. My coffee went cold an hour ago, but I keep lifting the mug to my lips anyway, forgetting. $1,800. Every single month. For 24 months. $43,200. But that's not the whole story. I scroll down to the highlighted cells in yellow. The emergency payments. Mom's car needed new brakes. Her water heater died. She had an unexpected dental bill. Each crisis arrived with the same frantic phone call, the same tremor in her voice that made my stomach drop. September last year. $4,000 for the roof repair that couldn't wait. March. $2,500 for the furnace. June. $5,000 because the property taxes came due, and she'd completely forgotten. December, right before Christmas. $13,000. She said the townhouse was going into foreclosure. She cried on the phone. I emptied my savings account and canceled my own holiday plans. The total at the bottom of the spreadsheet makes my chest tight. $68,000. I save the file with a name that feels like evidence. Madison, Wright, Financial, Documentation, 2023-2025, XLSX. Then I save it again to my cloud drive. Then I email it to myself. I'm not losing this. My phone buzzes against the table. Dad's name on the screen. Hey, I answered. Your aunt called me. His voice is careful. Said you made a scene at Thanksgiving. I stated a fact. Good for you. He exhales, and I can picture him in his kitchen, leaning against the counter the way he does when he's gathering his thoughts. Your mother called me too. Wants me to talk some sense into you. And? I told her I agreed with you. Something loosens in my chest. She's been telling everyone you left her broke. Of course she has. Dad sounds tired. Madison, you know the divorce settlement was 50-50. Right down the middle. The judge made sure of it. Your mother got $230,000. The townhouse was paid off. She had no debt. Where did it go? Where does it ever go? He pauses. That spa membership costs $800 a month. I saw the credit card statements before we split. She was spending $4,000 a month at Nordstrom, getting her hair done every 2 weeks at that place in Belmont, the kitchen renovation that she absolutely had to have, the bathroom remodel. New furniture. She spent the money, Madison. That's what she does. I already knew this. But hearing Dad confirm it makes the spreadsheet on my screen feel less like paranoia and more like proof. Thanks for telling me, I say. I should have told you 2 years ago. His voice drops. But honestly, I thought you were just helping her with groceries or small bills. I had no idea you were paying the entire mortgage until Elaine opened her mouth. He sighs. I'm sorry I didn't ask sooner. Everyone. We hang up, and I'm staring at the spreadsheet again when someone knocks on my door. Sharp, insistent raps that make me flinch. I know who it is before I open it. Aunt Elaine stands in my hallway, still wearing her coat, her face arranged in that expression of righteous concern that makes her look like a church lady about to deliver a sermon. She doesn't wait for an invitation. She pushes past me into my apartment, her eyes scanning the small space with the kind of judgment that catalogs every second-hand piece of furniture, every scuff mark on the wall. We need to talk, she announces. Hello to you too. Don't be flip with me, Madison. She turns to face me, and there's no warmth in her expression. No curiosity about my side of things. Do you have any idea what you've done? I stopped paying my mother's mortgage. You humiliated her. In front of the entire family. Elaine's voice rises. She's your mother. She raised you. And you threw that in her face like it meant nothing. I close the door. My hand stays on the knob. Did she tell you how much I've been paying? That's not the point. $1,800 a month. For 2 years. Plus another $24,000 in emergency payments. The numbers roll off my tongue. I've been staring at them long enough that they're memorized. $68,000 total. Elaine waves her hand like, I'm talking about pocket change. Family helps family. Does family humiliate family at Thanksgiving dinner? She was just joking. She called me a financial failure. She compared me to Brittany. She does this every time we're together, and I'm supposed to smile and keep writing checks? Your mother is bad with money. Elaine says it like she's admitting something, like this confession should make me sympathetic. Everyone knows that. But she raised you by herself after your father left. You owe her. Dad didn't leave her broke. The divorce was 50-50. Elaine's mouth tightens. She knows. Of course she knows. That doesn't change your responsibility. If you stop paying, she loses the house. Is that what you want? Your mother homeless? I want her to be an adult. She's 55 years old, Madison. She can't just start over. I'm 30. Why can't I? The question hangs in the air. Elaine stares at me, and I see the calculation happening behind her eyes. She's realizing that shame won't work anymore. That I'm not the same person who showed up to Thanksgiving dinner yesterday. If she loses that house, everyone will know it's your fault. She says finally. Your cousins, your aunts and uncles, everyone at church. They'll know you abandoned your own mother. They can think whatever they want. This will follow you. Her voice drops, taking on an almost threatening edge. People talk. Your coworkers will hear about it. Your boss. Everyone will know what kind of daughter you are. I walk to my laptop and turn it to face her. The spreadsheet fills the screen. $68,000 in a cell at the bottom, highlighted in red. Feel free to share that number when you're telling everyone what kind of daughter I am. Elaine looks at the screen. Her jaw works, but she doesn't say anything. I'm done, I tell her. You can leave now. She goes without another word, and I lock the door behind her. Then I sit back down at my kitchen table and open my email. The message takes me 10 minutes to write. I keep it formal, professional. The kind of email I'd send at work when documenting a problem. 2. Carolyn Wright, Elaine Peterson, CC, Richard Wright, subject, financial support notice. Effective immediately. I will no longer provide financial support for mortgage payments or other expenses. I have attached documentation showing $68,000 in payments made between November 2023 and November 2025. This decision is final. Madison Wright. I attach the spreadsheet. My finger hovers over the send button for only a moment. The email whooshes away. My phone stays silent for the rest of the evening. No calls, no texts. When I check the family group chat before bed, there are no new messages. Just silence where there used to be constant noise. I look at my bank account one more time. The balance is higher than it's been in 2 years. Next month, it will be higher still. The price of that number is the silence on my phone, the ostracization that's already starting. But for the first time in 24 months, I can breathe. On Monday, the notification pops up on my phone during lunch break. A coworker tagged me in a comment thread. I don't even need to open it to know what's happening. My stomach drops before my brain catches up, that familiar sick weight settling somewhere behind my ribs. The post is public. Of course it is. Mom has never believed in handling family business privately, not when there's an audience to manipulate. Her profile picture shows her at some charity gala from 3 years ago, wearing a dress I now realize I probably paid for. The text is long, rambling. The kind of emotional vomit that people scroll past unless they know the players involved. Some people don't understand what it means to honor your parents. It begins. After everything you sacrifice, after all the sleepless nights and hard choices, after giving up your own dreams to raise them right, they just walk away. Abandon you when you need them most. I'm getting older. I won't be here forever. But I guess that doesn't matter to some people. She doesn't name me. She's too smart for that. But she's tagged Aunt Elaine, Uncle Greg, 3 cousins, and half a dozen family friends, people who were at Thanksgiving, people who know exactly who she's talking about. The comments are already rolling in. Sympathetic emojis, praying for you and stay strong, and some children just don't appreciate what they have. Mrs. Henderson from 2 doors down wrote, "You deserve so much better." I lock my phone and set it face down on my desk. The spreadsheet I was working on blurs in front of me. "Hey, Madison?" I look up. Jessica from accounting is standing in my cubicle entrance, her expression carefully neutral. The kind of neutral that means she's seen something and doesn't know how to bring it up. "I just wanted to check if everything's okay. I saw your mom's post and..." Heat floods my face. Not embarrassment exactly. Something sharper. The realization that my personal crisis has officially leaked into my professional life. I'm fine. The words taste like cardboard. Family stuff. You know how it is. Jessica nods, but her eyes hold that look. Pity mixed with curiosity, mixed with judgment. She's wondering what I did to deserve a public shaming from my own mother. Whether there's truth to the ungrateful daughter narrative my mother is spinning. "If you need anything," Jessica says, backing away slowly. After she leaves, I pull up the post again, read through the comments, watch the likes climb. 43 people have validated mom's victimhood in the span of 20 minutes. My fingers move on autopilot, typing out a response. A clear, factual explanation of the last 2 years, the mortgage payments, the manufactured emergencies. The casino receipts I haven't even shared yet. Every detail laid out in numbered points, irrefutable and damning. I write 3 paragraphs. 4. The truth presented in clean, professional language that can't be misinterpreted or twisted. My thumb hovers over the post button. 1 tap and everyone will know my side. 1 tap and the narrative shifts. 1 tap and I stop being the villain. The office air conditioning kicks on, humming through the vent above my desk. I stare at my drafted response, reading it over twice. Then I highlight all of it and hit delete, because that's exactly what she wants. Mom doesn't care about the truth. She cares about the performance. About forcing me to defend myself publicly, to engage in a battle where she controls the terrain. Every comment I make, every fact I share, it all feeds into the drama she's creating. It makes me look defensive, reactive, like someone who has something to hide. I block the post from my feed instead. Don't unfriend her. Don't comment. Just remove it from my view like it never existed. My hands are steadier than I expect. The phone rings 20 minutes later. Dad's name flashes across the screen. "I saw it," he says before I can speak. No greeting, just straight to the point. "Don't respond. I wasn't planning to." "Good." He exhales, and I can picture him in his workshop, surrounded by half-finished furniture projects and sawdust. "She's baiting you. This is what she does. Creates a crisis, makes herself the victim, and waits for you to react, so she can point to your reaction as proof of how terrible you are. I know." "Do you?" His voice softens. "Because I spent years falling for it, apologizing for things I didn't do, trying to fix problems I didn't create. It took me too long to realize you can't win against someone who rewrites history every time she opens her mouth." I close my eyes, pressing the phone harder against my ear. People believe her. Some people will believe anything that confirms what they already think. The ones who matter will see through it eventually. After we hang up, I sit in the silence of my cubicle. The fluorescent lights buzz overhead. Someone's microwave popcorn makes the break room smell like fake butter. That evening, my coworker Amber texts me. Not Jessica with her careful neutrality, but Amber from my training cohort 3 years ago. We get drinks sometimes. Share war stories about difficult clients and office politics. "Saw your mom's post through a mutual friend. Wanna grab coffee?" We meet at the place 2 blocks from my apartment. Small, overpriced, with mismatched furniture and aggressively hip baristas. Amber orders something with oat milk. I get black coffee because I'm too tired to make decisions. My mom did the same thing to my sister. Amber says without preamble. Different details, same playbook. Public shaming, playing victim, making it everyone else's problem. I wrap both hands around my mug, absorbing the heat through the ceramic. "My sister was supporting her for 4 years, Amber continues. Rent, bills, groceries. Mom spent it on QVC jewelry and timeshares she never used. When my sister finally cut her off, Mom told everyone she was being abandoned, made herself out to be this tragic figure. What happened? My sister moved across the country, changed her number, started over. Amber shrugs. Sounds dramatic, but sometimes that's what it takes. You can't fix people who don't want to be fixed. You can only protect yourself. The coffee tastes burnt, but I drink it anyway. Back home that night, I sit cross-legged on my couch with my laptop open. The Facebook post is still up, still gathering sympathetic comments like barnacles on a shipwreck. I navigate to my privacy settings and start clicking through options. Limited profile visibility, restricted lists, unfollowing without unfriending, the digital equivalent of closing a door without slamming it. I unfollow Aunt Elaine, Uncle Greg, the cousins who liked Mom's post, the family friends who added their prayers and sad face emojis. One by one, I remove their content from my feed. They can still see my public posts, and can still think whatever they want, but I don't have to watch them perform their loyalty to Mom anymore. The quiet that follows feels intentional instead of empty. The phone vibrates in my hand at 7:30 a Wednesday morning. 3 weeks of silence were broken with this call. Aunt Elaine's name glows on the screen, and my stomach drops before I even answer. It's an emergency. Her voice is breathless, theatrical. The utilities are being cut off and the sheriff is at the door. Madison, you have to do something. Behind her, Mom wails. The sound is high-pitched, desperate, exactly calibrated to trigger every guilt receptor I've spent 30 years developing. What happened to the money from... There's no time for questions. Elaine snaps. Your mother has zero cash. Zero. They're going to shut everything off today. She'll have to move into some horrible motel, or worse, she'll have no choice but to show up at your office. The threat lands exactly as intended. I picture Mom making a scene in the lobby at work, crying to my boss about her cruel daughter. The professional reputation I've carefully built, shattered in one performative meltdown. You have 2 hours to fix this, Madison. 2 hours. The call ends before I can respond. I sit on the edge of my bed, still in my pajamas, phone cooling in my palm. The apartment is quiet, except for the hum of the refrigerator and distant traffic. My bank app is already open from checking my balance earlier. That little green number that's finally starting to grow. The old Madison would already be getting dressed, already calculating how much she could transfer without overdrafting, already composing the apology she'd offer for letting things get this bad. But I've seen the pattern now. The manufactured crisis, the impossible deadline, the threat of public humiliation as leverage. I scroll through my text history with Mom instead. 3 weeks of silence since the email, not a single response to the spreadsheet, no acknowledgement of the $68,000, just radio silence until this exact moment when she needs something. My finger hovers over the banking app, then I close it. I text back, I'll meet you at the townhouse. 1 hour. The reply comes in seconds. Thank God, I knew you'd come through. I shower, dress in my usual work clothes, gray slacks, white blouse, minimal makeup. The mirror shows someone who looks tired, defeated, beaten down. Perfect. The drive to Mom's townhouse takes 35 minutes, but I make them wait longer. My hands are steady on the wheel. No shaking this time, just cold, clear focus. Mom's car is in the driveway. So is Elaine's Mercedes. I park on the street and walk up the path slowly, counting my steps. 17 from curb to front door. The flower beds Mom planted last spring are overgrown, weeds choking out the petunias she spent $200 on. The door opens before I knock. Finally. Elaine ushers me inside like I'm late for surgery. She's in the living room. She's been beside herself. Mom sits on the couch, tissue box in her lap, mascara smudged, but her eyes are sharp. Alert, watching me for signs of weakness. Elaine hovers behind her, arms crossed, playing the concerned sister. They're barely concealing their smugness. They think this is victory. The prodigal daughter returning with her checkbook open. I don't sit down. Show me the shutoff notice. Mom blinks. What? The sheriff. The utility company. Show me the paperwork. There's no time for... Elaine starts. Show me. Mom's hands flutter toward the coffee table where a single envelope sits. Duke Energy. Addressed to her. I open it. Final notice, dated 3 days ago. Past due amount, $412. Not $1,800. Not the mortgage. Utilities. I'll handle this one last time. The words come out flat, exhausted. Mom's shoulders drop, relief flooding her features. Elaine's expression shifts to satisfaction. They exchange a glance that confirms everything I suspected. This was always about breaking me, about proving they could still pull my strings. I pull out my phone. I need to transfer the payment directly. Just write a check, Mom says quickly. Or Venmo me, whatever's fastest. No. I keep my voice steady, defeated. I need the account information. The login for the utility company. I need the records for my own taxes anyway. The lie slides out smoothly. Reasonable. The kind of thing a responsible person would say. Mom hesitates. This wasn't the plan. She wanted cash, liquid and untraceable. But she needs this money too desperately to refuse. I watch her calculate, watch her decide that getting paid now is worth the minor inconvenience of sharing login credentials. Fine. She rattles off the website, username, password. I type them into my phone, fingers steady. The Duke Energy portal loads. I navigate to payment options, enter my debit card information, and confirm the $412 charge. My bank app shows the transaction processing immediately. There, paid. Thank you, sweetheart. Mom's voice drips with false warmth. I knew you'd understand. Family helps family. But I'm not done. I'm scrolling now. Phone tilted away from their view. Transaction history. Download statements. Screenshot. 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 The phone's camera sound is muted, but my heart hammers so hard I'm sure they can hear it. 6 months of utility bills. Paid on time, every month, no late fees until this one. I keep scrolling, downloading, documenting. Mom is already talking to Elaine about something else, her crisis resolved. They think this is over. They think the ATM is open again. I should go. I pocket my phone. I have work. Of course. Mom doesn't stand to walk me out. Thank you, Madison. I know things have been tense, but this really means a lot. I don't respond. Just head for the door, hand steady on the knob. Outside, I don't drive away immediately. I park down the street where my car isn't visible from the townhouse windows. My phone is hot in my hand, screen glowing with the utility account still open. The login credentials work for more than just Duke Energy. I navigate to her bank account, the one she gave me access to under the guise of paying bills. My thumb hovers over the transaction history. Then I tap it. The numbers that load make my breath catch. 2 days ago. ATM withdrawal. The Emerald Casino. $2,000 in cash. The day before the emergency. The day before she claimed to have zero money. The day she and Aunt called me. I scroll further back. More casino withdrawals. Luxury purchases at department stores. Spa memberships. Monthly charges that paint a picture of someone who never intended to pay her own bills. Someone who spent the mortgage money knowing exactly who would cover the shortfall. I screenshot everything. Every transaction. Every date. Every location. The evidence downloads to my phone in a neat, devastating timeline. Inside that townhouse, Mom and Elaine are probably celebrating. Probably already discussing what the next emergency will be. Home repairs, maybe, or car trouble. Whatever story sounds urgent enough to open my wallet again. But I'm not crying. I'm smiling. My fingers fly across the screen, creating a new folder. Evidence. I drop every screenshot inside, then back it up to cloud storage. 3 copies, each one a bullet I didn't know I'd need until this exact moment. The trap isn't just armed anymore. It's loaded, aimed, and ready. Let's see what else you've been hiding, Mom. I start the engine and pull away from the curb, leaving the townhouse and its occupants behind. My phone sits in the cup holder, screen dark now, containing the truth they never meant for me to find. The ATM isn't open. It's about to permanently close. The text comes through 4 days after I paid the utility bill. Mom, Madison, I need to talk to you about something urgent. My car is making a terrible noise, and the mechanic says it needs $1,200 in repairs immediately. I can't get to work without it. I stare at the message while my coffee goes cold. The same urgency, the same breathless crisis, the manufactured panic that used to send my heart racing and my fingers flying to the bank app. Not anymore. I scroll through the screenshots I took while logged into her account. Transaction after transaction, each one telling a story she never wanted me to read. The grocery store charges are reasonable enough. The utility payments are there, smaller than she claimed. But then there are the other ones. The luxury spa, the designer outlet mall, the wine bar downtown that charges $18 for a glass of Pinot. And the big one. The devastating one. The Emerald Casino. My thumb hovers over the reply button. I could ignore this, block her number, move on with my life and let her figure out her own messes. But she won't stop. People like Mom never stop until someone makes them. Me. Let's talk about it. Can you meet tomorrow afternoon? I think Aunt Elaine should be there too. The response comes back in seconds. Mom. Why does Elaine need to be involved? This is between us. Me. Because she's been involved in every other conversation about my financial responsibility to you. 2:00 at the Riverside Cafe. I'll see you both there. I don't wait for her to argue. I turn off my phone and finish getting ready for work. The next day, the cafe sits on the corner of Main and 3rd, the kind of place with round tables and too much natural light. I arrived 10 minutes early with my laptop bag and a folder containing printed copies of everything, the evidence organized by date, highlighted in yellow where it matters most. Mom and Aunt Elaine walk in together at 2:15. Late, but not late enough to be called out for it. Mom's face has that pinched look she gets when she's nervous but trying to hide it. Elaine's expression is already set to disapproval, like she walked in here ready to lecture me about family duty before I've said a single word. They sit across from me. Mom reaches for my hand, but I pull back and rest both palms flat on the table. Thank you for coming. Of course, sweetheart. Mom's voice drips with artificial sweetness. Now, about the car. I really am in a bind, and I know you said you wouldn't help anymore, but this is different. I can't work without transportation. We can talk about that. I open my laptop. The screen glows between us. But first, I want to show you something. Elaine shifts in her seat. Madison, if this is about dredging up the past, it's about last call. I turn the laptop toward them. The transaction history fills the screen. When you called and said the utilities were being shut off. When the sheriff was supposedly at the door. Mom's face goes very still. I paid that bill directly, remember? You gave me the login information. I clicked to the next screenshot, which meant I could see everything else too. The silence stretches. A waitress approaches, takes one look at our table, and veers toward a safer group of customers. Madison. Mom's voice has an edge now. Looking through my private accounts is a violation of... The day before your crisis. I tap the screen. November 14th. The Emerald Casino. $2,000. Cash withdrawal. Elaine leans forward, squinting at the screen. Her mouth opens, closes, opens again. You withdrew $2,000 at a casino. I continue, my voice steady. And then the next day, you called in hysterics about not having money for utilities. You manufactured that emergency. You gambled away your mortgage payment, and then called me to cover it. That's not... Mom starts, but I hold up one hand. I have $68,000 reasons to be done with your lies. I pull out the printed copies, sliding them across the table. This is 2 years of payments, $1,800 a month, plus the emergency payments, plus the utility bill I just paid, which subsidized a casino trip. Mom stares at the papers like they might catch fire. Her hands tremble as she reaches for them, but she doesn't pick them up. Can't. Maybe. Elaine reads in silence. I watch the exact moment she realizes she can't defend this, can't spin it into another lecture about family duty. Her face shifts from disapproval to something closer to shock. Carolyn. Elaine's voice is quiet. Dangerous. Tell me this isn't real. It was a mistake. Mom's words tumble out fast. I was stressed. I thought I could win it back. I never meant for... You lied to me. Elaine cuts her off. You stood in my kitchen and told me Madison abandoned you. You made me call her and guilt her into helping. And you were lying. I needed help. Mom's voice rises, desperate now. I made one mistake. One bad decision. That doesn't erase everything Madison owes me. I close my laptop with a soft click. I don't owe you anything. The words land heavy. Final. The money I gave you didn't save you, Mom. It enabled you. Every dollar I transferred went toward maintaining a lifestyle you couldn't afford. The designer clothes, The spa memberships, the casino trips. You didn't need rescuing. You needed someone to stop rescuing you. Mom opens her mouth, but nothing comes out. Her eyes are shining, and I wait for the tears. The performance. But even she seems to realize it won't work this time. I pull out my phone and open the family group chat. 37 members. Cousins, aunts, uncles, second cousins I barely remember. I haven't posted anything yet, I say, showing them the empty message box. But I will if this continues. The casino receipt, the transaction history, the whole truth about where my money actually went. You wouldn't. Mom's voice cracks. Try me. I meet her eyes. The caption writes itself. I didn't abandon her. She spent the mortgage money at the casino. Elaine sinks back in her chair, all the fight draining out of her. Without the moral high ground, she's just another witness to a truth too ugly to defend. I'm done being the solution to problems you create. I stand, gathering my laptop and folder. I've changed the passwords on my accounts. All of them. Don't call about emergencies. Don't text about crises. Don't show up at my apartment or my work. After everything I did for you? Mom's voice breaks on the last word. I pause at the edge of the table. You raised me. Past tense. That job is over. And you got paid for it. $68,000 worth. I walk out while they're still sitting there, stunned into silence. The afternoon sun hits my face as I step onto the sidewalk. My hands aren't shaking. My chest isn't tight. For the first time in 2 years, I feel lighter than air. 5 months changes everything and nothing at all. My new apartment has actual closet space, 2 bedrooms, even though I live alone. The second one holds a desk, bookshelves, and a reading chair I found at an estate sale. Fresh tulips sit in a glass vase on the kitchen counter, bright yellow against the white subway tile. I bought them yesterday because I wanted to, not because they were on clearance. My savings account has an actual balance now. Real numbers that grow instead of drain. The Easter gathering is at Aunt Elaine's again. Different holiday, same house, but I'm parking at the curb by choice this time. Not obligation. Not guilt. Just the simple decision to show up because I want to see Dad and a few cousins who reached out after the dust settled. I grab the lemon cake from the passenger seat. Store-bought, because I'm not trying to prove anything anymore. Inside, the familiar sounds of family chaos greet me, kids running through the hallway. Uncle Greg's booming voice from the living room, the scent of ham and scalloped potatoes drifting from the kitchen. Mom is here. I spotted her car in the driveway. She's sitting in the corner of the dining room when I walk in, quieter than I've ever seen her. Her wine glass is half full instead of constantly empty. She glances up when I enter, and something flickers across her face. Not quite shame, not quite resentment, something in between that I don't need to name or fix. I nod once. She nods back. That's all there is. Madison. Brittany waves from across the room. She actually smiles, genuine instead of uncomfortable. That cake looks amazing. The conversation flows around me differently now. Aunt Elaine asks about work with real interest instead of veiled judgment. Uncle Greg talks about his new boat, without comparing it to what I can't afford. Nobody mentions my apartment size or my car or my apparent inability to plan for the future. They adjusted. The family learned where the line is, and nobody's testing it anymore. Halfway through dinner, Cousin Mark makes an offhand comment about helping his brother with rent. Family helps family, right? That's what we do. The table doesn't go silent, but I feel the slight shift, that microscopic awareness of weight behind those words. I set down my fork, take a sip of water, and smile. No tension in my shoulders. No calculating how to escape. Everyone's responsible for their own finances. Mark blinks, nods slowly. Yeah, I guess that's true too. The conversation moves on. Someone asks about dessert. Brittany's husband tells a story about their dog. The moment dissolves like sugar in coffee, sweet and unremarkable. Later, Dad catches me by the coffee station. He squeezes my shoulder once, firm and proud. He doesn't say anything. Doesn't need to. On Tuesday, a younger woman from accounting stops by my desk. Sarah, maybe 24, with circles under her eyes that look familiar. Can I ask you something? She glances around like she's afraid of being overheard. It's about family stuff. We end up having coffee in the break room. She tells me about her parents, their constant requests, the guilt trips, the threats. Her voice shakes when she talks about cutting them off. Everyone says I'm being selfish. I think about the spreadsheets, the casino withdrawal, the 2 years of silence I mistook for love. You can love people from a healthy distance, I tell her. You're not responsible for fixing problems they create. She's crying now, but the relief on her face is unmistakable, like someone finally gave her permission to breathe. I give her my number, tell her to call if she needs to talk. She hugs me before leaving, whispering thank you against my shoulder. That evening, I meet Dad and Jessica, my coworker who validated my boundaries 6 months ago, at the Italian place downtown. We order too much food and split a bottle of wine that costs more than I used to spend on groceries for a week. To chosen family, Jessica says, raising her glass. Dad grins. To Madison finally choosing herself. We clink glasses, and the sound rings clear. Driving home, the sunset spreads across the horizon in shades of orange and deep pink. My hands rest easy on the wheel, no phantom buzzing from my phone. No checking the rearview mirror like Mom's going to appear. My laptop sits open on the passenger seat, browser tabs still visible. One shows a photography course starting in June. Another has flight prices to Colorado. The voice in my head sounds different now. Steady, instead of anxious. Clear, instead of conflicted. Family helps family, I say out loud to the empty car. But help doesn't mean sacrifice. The light ahead turns green. After all I did for you? I smile at my reflection in the windshield. I finally did something for myself. My hands stay steady on the wheel. The road ahead is mine. The invisible provider now provides for the only person who never exploited her, herself. The digital beep slices through my dreams like a razor. Beep, beep, beep. Access denied. My eyes snap open. The red numbers on my bedside clock read 8:15 a.m. Saturday morning in Austin, and the sun slants through my blinds in dusty stripes. Beep, beep, beep. Access denied. The sound comes again, electronic and sharp. My heart lurches from sleepy confusion to alert panic in the span of a single breath. Someone is at my door. Someone with the wrong code. What the hell? She changed the code. The voice belongs to Bryce, my younger brother. His words slice through the apartment door, vibrating with indignation. I sit up, sheets tangling around my legs. Last night, I deleted their access codes from my smart lock system. After 8 years of them walking in whenever they pleased, I finally did it. One small act of rebellion. The pounding starts not knocking, but the full weight of a body slamming against wood. The door frame shudders. Emery, open this door. This is your brother's house. My mother's voice, shrill and commanding. Open up, Emery, or I'm breaking it down. Bryce again, his voice rough with effort. My hands shake as I reach for my phone on the nightstand. Without thinking, I press record on the video camera. Evidence. Protection. Something cold and certain settles in my stomach as I slide out of bed. The hardwood floor feels solid beneath my bare feet as I cross to the door. My heart thunders in my chest, but I force my breathing to slow. 1, 2, 3. The chain slides into place before I unlock the deadbolt. I open the door just wide enough to show my face, holding my phone up where they can see I'm recording. Bryce stumbles back mid-lunge, his shoulder still angled for another blow. Behind him stands Patricia, my mother, immaculate at this ungodly hour in pressed slacks and a blouse the color of butter. She clutches a thick manila folder in her manicured hands. My father hovers by the elevator, looking everywhere but at me. What are you doing? My voice emerges as barely more than a whisper. Patricia scoffs, brushing imaginary lint from her sleeve. Stop this nonsense. We're here to get the house ready. Bryce needs you to sign these papers. She brandishes the folder like a weapon. I stare at the three of them, and suddenly, I'm back at last night's dinner. My father's birthday celebration at Carmela's, his favorite steakhouse. The moment plays in my head with crystal clarity. Patricia raised her wine glass, the chandelier light catching it and creating a subtle shimmer. And to Bryce, who's finally getting the asset he deserves to start his business. The table had gone quiet. I'd looked up from my barely touched fillet. What asset? My mother laughed, a cold, tinkling sound like breaking glass. The condo, silly. You're just crashing here. It's always been for Bryce. Everyone laughed. My Uncle Ted, my cousin Mallory, even my father, whose birthday we were celebrating. They all laughed while I sat there, blood draining from my face, fork suspended midair. The condo I'd bought 8 years ago. The condo where every mortgage payment had come from my bank account. The condo that was supposed to be temporary until I saved enough for New York, for the master's program I'd given up when Dad lost his job. Now they stand at my door, expecting me to hand over my home. No. The word falls from my lips, small but firm. Bryce's face contorts. What do you mean, no? Something shifts inside me. The tremor in my hands stills. The tightness in my chest loosens just enough to let me breathe. I straighten my spine and meet his gaze. I mean, no, you can't come in, and this is not Bryce's house. I push the door closed and turn around. My desk sits 10 feet away, bottom drawer slightly ajar from last night's frantic search. I grab the stack of papers I'd pulled out after the dinner after I realized what they were planning. When I face the door again, I hold them up. The deed, the mortgage statements, 8 years of payments from my account, all bearing one name, Emery Nash. This, I say, my voice shaking but clear, is my house. The shock on their faces would be comical if it weren't so terrible. My mother's perfectly lined lips part in outrage. Bryce's face flushes crimson. My father finally looks at me, his expression unreadable. For one suspended moment, we all stand frozen in tableau. Then I slam the door shut. The deadbolt slides home with a satisfying click, followed by the electronic lock's beep and announcement that I am safe. On the other side, the screaming begins. My mother's voice rises to a pitch I've never heard before. Bryce pounds on the door, each impact shaking the frame. My father's lower tones rumble between them, trying to quiet them down. I lean my back against the door, phone still recording as I slide to the floor. My legs won't hold me anymore. The papers scatter around me like fallen leaves. Outside, my family continues their assault, but in here in my home, I'm finally standing my ground. I slide to the floor, back pressed against the door, legs splayed awkwardly across the hardwood. The screaming continues outside, my mother's voice reaching that particular pitch she saves for when she's not getting her way. My phone still records, capturing the muffled chaos, but my fingers have gone numb. I can't feel them anymore. The first sob catches me by surprise. It punches up from somewhere deep in my stomach, clawing past my throat with such force my whole body jerks forward. Then another follows, and another. Soon I'm gasping, struggling to pull air into lungs that feel too small, too tight. Have you ever had that moment? When someone you trusted since birth, someone whose voice taught you words, whose hands steadied your first steps, reveals they've been plotting against you all along? I curl forward, forehead pressed against my knees, and let 8 years of sacrifice pour out of me, 8 years of mortgage payments, 8 years of staying in Austin instead of pursuing my master's in New York, 8 years of believing I wasn't good enough yet, that I needed to save more, prepare more, be more, all while they planned to take the one thing I'd managed to build. An hour passes before the hall goes quiet. My legs cramp as I push myself up, wiping tear-streaked mascara from my cheeks. Coffee. I need coffee. The mundane act of measuring grounds and pouring water gives my hands something to do besides shake. My phone buzzes on the counter. An email notification. First National Bank. Subject line. Your HELOC application. Appraisal confirmation. The mug slips from my hand, clattering against the countertop but miraculously not breaking. I grab my phone, scanning the message with growing horror. Dear Miss Nash, this email is to confirm your appointment with our appraiser, Mr. Fields, for this coming Monday at 10 a.m. HELOC, home equity line of credit. A loan against my house. A loan I never applied for. My stomach drops through the floor. With clumsy fingers, I navigate to my credit monitoring app, the one I'd signed up for after college when my student loans kicked in. I scroll through recent activity, heart pounding in my ears. There it is, a hard inquiry from First National Bank, dated 1 week ago. The coffee machine beeps, but I don't move. My mind races, piecing things together with sickening clarity. They hadn't just claimed my condo was for Bryce at dinner. They'd already acted on it. They'd used my social security number, my date of birth, my personal information. The manila folder Patricia was clutching, it wasn't an application. It was the final paperwork they needed me to sign. I braced myself against the counter, suddenly dizzy. My mother. The only person who would know my social security number from when she helped me fill out college financial aid forms. Patricia, who still had copies of my birth certificate, just in case. The mastermind behind this whole scheme. And Bryce, the one who stood to gain. The one willing to use his shoulder to break down my door this morning. My tears dry up. The trembling in my hands stops. The crushing weight in my chest transforms into something cold and hard and certain. This wasn't just a family dispute over property. This was identity theft. This was fraud. This was a crime. My phone chimes with a text message. Ethan, my upstairs neighbor. We're not close, just the occasional nod in the elevator or casual chat by the mailboxes. Hey, heard the commotion. Sounded awful. Just letting you know I'm here if you need a witness or anything. I stare at his message, oddly touched by this small act of normal human decency. How sad that it stands out so starkly against my family's behavior. Thank you, Ethan. I might. Comma. I set down the phone and open my laptop. The bank's website loads, and I click the link for reporting fraud. The customer service number appears on screen, and I punch it into my phone with steady fingers. Fraud department. This is Karen speaking. How may I help you? My name is Emery Nash. My voice sounds strange to my own ears, flat, mechanical, like it belongs to someone else. I've just been notified of a HELOC application I did not make. You have an appraisal scheduled for Monday. I am reporting this as identity theft. Cancel the application. Cancel the appraisal. I'm so sorry to hear that, Miss Nash. Can you verify the last 4 digits of your social security number? I recite the numbers, then my birth date and address when prompted. The woman takes me through security questions. Mother's maiden name, first pet, elementary school. The very information Patricia had used against me. I see the application here, Miss Nash. You're saying you did not authorize this? I did not. And you believe you know who may have applied using your information? I hesitate for just a heartbeat. Yes. May I ask who? My mother, Patricia Nash. The words hang in the air between us. I've done it. I've reported my own mother to a federal bank for identity theft. There is no going back. I understand, Miss Nash. This must be very difficult. Karen's voice softens. I've flagged this application as fraudulent. The appraisal will be canceled immediately. Would you like me to place a freeze on your credit report as well? Yes, please. And will you be filing a police report? We recommend doing so in cases of identity theft, even when family is involved. My chest tightens. A police report would make this real in a way I'm not ready to face. Not yet. I'll consider it. I understand. Just know that the application has been stopped. No one will access your home equity without your consent. I thank her and hang up, sinking onto one of the bar stools at my kitchen counter. The sunlight streams through my blinds, creating long stripes across the floor just like it did this morning when the pounding at my door began. Was it only hours ago? It feels like years. My home remains mine. My family has been stopped for now, but as I stare at my phone, I know with absolute certainty, this is just the beginning. The bank calls on Saturday afternoon. Miss Nash, this is Amanda Heller from First National's Fraud Department. We've processed your report and frozen the HELOC application immediately. I thank her, my voice hollow. The weight of what I've done reporting my own mother for identity theft settles in my chest like concrete. We're required to notify the applicant, she continues. The contact number provided was for Patricia Nash. Is that correct? My stomach knots. Yes, that's my mother. A pause. I understand. Given the situation, would you like us to note a potential harassment concern on your file? I hadn't thought that far ahead. Yes, I whisper. Please do. After hanging up, I sit motionless at my kitchen counter, waiting for the explosion. My phone remains mercifully silent all afternoon. By evening, I've convinced myself they've finally accepted defeat. I'm wrong. Sunday dawns with a pounding at my door, so violent it rattles the framed photographs on my hallway wall. The sound jolts me from sleep, adrenaline flooding my system. Emery! Patricia's voice pierces through the wood. Not the controlled, butter-smooth tone she uses in public, but something sharp-edged and desperate. Emery, open this door right now. I pull on my robe and approach cautiously, keeping the chain latched as I crack the door. Patricia stands alone, her blonde hair perfect despite the early hour. She clutches a leather portfolio to her chest, knuckles white. The appraiser is coming tomorrow morning, she says, words rushing out. Bryce needs you to sign these papers right now. Her lie lands between us. She doesn't know I've already canceled the appraisal. There is no appraisal, Mom. My voice emerges calmer than I expect. I canceled it when I reported your fraud. The color drains from her face. For 3 heartbeats, the hallway falls silent enough to hear the hum of the elevator down the corridor. Then her features contort. You did what? The shriek rips from her throat. Do you have any idea what you've done? You've destroyed everything. An elderly couple walking to the elevator quickens their pace, exchanging uncomfortable glances. Mrs. Delgado can hear you, I say quietly, nodding toward my neighbor's door. I don't care who hears me. Patricia slams her palm against the doorframe. This is unbelievable. You're a woman, Emery. You'll get married and move away eventually. Stop being selfish and holding on to something your brother needs to build his career. The words should hurt. They've always hurt before. But something has shifted inside me, like a lock finally clicking into place. You taught me that family only matters when they need something from you. I tell her through the narrow opening. Lesson learned, Mom. Thanks. I close the door as she launches into another tirade. Her voice follows me as I walk to the kitchen, but it feels distant now, like background noise from someone else's apartment. My phone buzzes with a notification an hour later. Bryce has posted on Facebook, betrayed by my own flesh and blood. Some people would rather see their family fail than do the right thing. 6 likes, 3 sympathetic comments. I take a screenshot, saving it to a folder I've created labeled Evidence. Monday morning arrives with a fresh assault. My phone pings with a Google Business Review alert. Someone named Jay Thompson has left my interior design company a 1-star review. Unreliable designer, deceitful, mentally unstable. 5 minutes later, another appears on Yelp under a different name but with identical wording. I recognize Patricia's favorite phrases immediately. My hand doesn't shake as I take screenshots of both. Instead of panic, a cold clarity fills my chest. They're escalating, moving from emotional manipulation to attacking my livelihood. The phone rings. It's Aunt Marlene, my father's sister. The only person who ever stood up to Patricia at family gatherings. Emery, I just saw Bryce's Facebook post. What on earth is going on? I explain everything. The dinner, the locked door, the fraudulent loan application. My voice remains steady until I mention the fake reviews targeting my business. Those absolute vultures. Marlene hisses. Honey, this isn't a family squabble anymore. This is criminal. I know, I say. Aunt Marlene, I'm sending you an email right now. I just want someone else to have copies of everything. Send it all, she says firmly. Every last bit. Your mother has always been. Well, I won't say it, but using your social security number? That's not a family issue, Emery. That's a felony. After we hang up, I compile the evidence, the mortgage statements, the loan notification, the screenshots of reviews, the video from Saturday morning, and send it all to Marlene. The action feels like building a fortress around myself, brick by digital brick. My phone buzzes with a text from Ethan, my upstairs neighbor. Your mom was back this morning. Just for your information. My security camera caught the audio from the hallway. I text back. Can you save that footage? His reply comes instantly. Already done. Another ally. Another brick in the wall between me and the people who raised me. The week crawls forward. I lose a small client, the Hendersons, who needed help with their guest room. We heard you might be having some personal issues, Mrs. Henderson says awkwardly on the phone. We think we should go in another direction. The 1-star reviews are working. For the first time since Saturday, despair threatens to overwhelm my newfound resolve. I sit on my living room floor, surrounded by fabric samples for a project that might never happen, and allow myself 5 minutes to cry. When the tears stop, my phone buzzes with a text. It's from my father, the first contact since Saturday morning when he stood silently by the elevator, watching Patricia and Bryce attack my door. Family meeting. My house. Tonight. Attendance mandatory. I stare at the message, noting his choice of words. Not our house, but my house. Not we need to talk, but attendance mandatory. Like I'm being summoned to the principal's office. The Douglas Nash I grew up with would never have phrased a message that way. This has Patricia's fingerprints all over it. I don't respond. Instead, I pick up my keys and head to the office supply store. If they want a meeting, I'll give them one, but on my terms, with my evidence and my voice. They think they know me, quiet Emery, who gave up her dreams, who never fights back, who always puts family first. They have no idea who I've become since I changed the door code. As I drive, I rehearse what I'll say, what I'll show them, how I'll stand my ground. Tonight isn't about negotiation. It's about drawing a line that can never be crossed again. For the first time in my life, I'm ready for the fight they've started. The Office Depot sign flickers overhead, bathing me in harsh fluorescent light as I stand before the printing counter. The clerk slides 3 black binders across the laminate surface. You want these spiral-bound or 3-ring? He asks. 3-ring, I answer, my voice steadier than I expected. I need to be able to add pages if necessary. The truth is, I hope I won't need to. The evidence I've assembled should be enough. 8 years of mortgage statements, the property deed with my signature alone, the fraudulent HELOC email, my credit report showing the hard inquiry I never authorized, screenshots of Bryce's Facebook rant and the 1-star reviews destroying my business reputation, all meticulously organized, just like I organize every client project. As I drive to my parents' house, the binders sit on my passenger seat like silent witnesses. Each one weighs exactly 2 pounds, 4 ounces. I know because I weighed them on the postal scale at Office Depot. 2 pounds, 4 ounces of truth. The autumn sun dips low on the horizon as I park in front of the brick colonial where I grew up. The house looks smaller somehow, less imposing than it did when I was a child. My hands grip the steering wheel until my knuckles turn white. I force my fingers to unclench. You're not the same person who sat silent at that dinner table, I whisper to myself. Not anymore. I gather the binders and walk up the familiar cracked concrete path to the front door. Inside, I can see them through the window. Patricia, Douglas, and Bryce, seated around the dining room table, like a tribunal awaiting a defendant. The oak table gleams under the chandelier light, polished to a high shine. My mother always polishes the furniture before ambushes. I don't knock. I still have a key. 8 years of having it, and today might be the last time I use it. They look up in unison as I enter. My father sits at the head of the table, his reading glasses perched on his nose, hands folded before him like a judge. Patricia sits to his right, her posture perfect, butter-yellow cardigan buttoned to her throat despite the warm evening. Bryce slouches to Dad's left, his eyes darting between his phone and my face. You're late, Patricia says. I check my watch. I'm actually 3 minutes early. We expected you to be at least 10 minutes early, she sniffs. That's how a respectful daughter behaves. I say nothing, just close the front door behind me. Douglas clears his throat and removes his glasses. Emery, this has gone too far, he says, his voice weighted with paternal authority. You're embarrassing this family. You canceled the loan. You upset your mother. We are here to fix this. He taps a stack of papers at his elbow. You will sign these papers, and we will forget this whole thing. The old Emery would have wilted under that tone, that stare. The old Emery would have signed anything to make the tension dissolve, to restore what passed for peace in this household. But the old Emery died when she heard her brother trying to break down her door. I walk to the table, my steps measured. No rushing, no apologizing. I place a binder in front of each of them, black, professional, identical except for the names printed on the spines. What is this? Douglas asks, annoyance creeping into his tone. It's my answer, I say. Patricia flips hers open first, manicured fingers spreading the cover wide. Her eyes fall on the HELOC email I'd placed on the first page, the bank's letterhead crisp and damning at the top. Her face flushes red, then drains to chalk white. She snaps the binder shut. You wouldn't dare, she hisses, voice low and dangerous. Bryce opens his more cautiously, like he's afraid it might explode. He turns to the section tabbed with his name and finds printouts of his own Facebook post about family betrayal, followed by the anonymous one-star reviews that appeared on my business pages hours after. Reviews that use phrases he's fond of, mentally unstable and deceitful, in the exact order he tends to say them. He turns pale, Adam's apple bobbing as he swallows. Only Douglas actually reads. He starts with the property deed, his reading glasses sliding back onto his nose. His finger traces the signatures, only mine. Not his, not Patricia's. He flips to the 8 years of mortgage statements. Each one bears the same memo line in my handwriting, future fund payment. His eyebrows draw together as he turns to the credit report page showing the hard inquiry from First National Bank, dated exactly 1 week before my father's birthday dinner. "What is this?" he murmurs, more to himself than to me. "That's evidence of identity theft." I say, my voice calm despite the thunder of my heartbeat. "Someone used my social security number to apply for a home equity line of credit on my property without my knowledge or consent." Douglas looks up sharply. "But who would?" He stops. His eyes slide to Patricia. Understanding dawns across his face like a sunrise, but there's nothing warm in it. Just cold, clear light, revealing things he hadn't wanted to see. "Patricia," he whispers, looking up at my mother with newfound horror. "You used her social security number?" The room stills. A car passes outside, its headlights sweeping across the living room wall like a searchlight. My mother doesn't apologize. She doesn't explain. Instead, she bursts into tears, not soft, remorseful ones, but sharp, angry sobs that erupt from her throat like accusations. "He's your son," she shrieks, pointing at Bryce. "We're going to lose everything!" The words echo in the silence that follows. My father stares at her, mouth slightly open. Bryce can't meet anyone's eyes. He hunches further in his chair, suddenly fascinated by the grain of the oak table. The united front they presented when I arrived has shattered. I watch as my father's shoulders slump, the weight of realization crushing the righteous anger he'd prepared. "That's not true," I say, looking directly at my father. "You're not going to lose anything, because you never put in a single dollar. I'm the one who lost. I lost my $20,000 future fund for New York. I lost my spot in the master's program. I lost 8 years of my life believing I wasn't good enough, all while I was paying your bills." Douglas flinches. The truth lands like a physical blow. "I'm not here to negotiate," I continue. "I'm here to inform you." Bryce shifts in his seat, mouth opening to interrupt. I silence him with a look. I stand taller, drawing strength from the cold clarity that has replaced my fear. "The HELOC is dead. The bank has flagged your phone number. Aunt Marlene has a copy of this binder. So does my neighbor Ethan, who has video of you harassing me at my door. If one more one-star review appears, if any of you text me, email me, or come within 100 feet of my home, I'm filing a police report for identity theft and harassment." Patricia's face contorts. "You ungrateful little..." My mother's mascara runs in black rivulets down her cheeks. My brother's knuckles turn white as he grips the edge of the table. My father just looks lost. A man waking up to find the script he'd been reading from was written by someone else. Patricia looks to Douglas, expecting him to take control as he always has, to bring me back in line. But my father just stares at the binder, at the evidence of what they've done. "We're done," I say. I don't wait for a response. I turn and walk to the door, my back straight, my steps unhurried. Behind me, I hear my mother's voice, high and desperate. "Douglas, tell her she has to." My father says nothing. The door closes behind me with a soft click, far gentler than the slam I'd imagined in all my rehearsals. Outside, the evening air smells of cut grass and distant rain. I breathe it in deeply, filling my lungs, and for the first time in 8 years, the tightness in my chest begins to ease. I leave the binders the proof of their betrayal on the table and drive away from the smoking ruins of their plan. I don't look back. 3 months later, I'm sitting motionless at my desk. The only thing moving is the blinking cursor on the screen. My Google business page, the one I spent 8 years building, now displays a glaring, sickening number: 1.5 stars. A perfect nosedive. From 4.9 stars and 80 positive reviews down to this. I scroll. Unreliable, unprofessional, mentally unstable, cancelled at the last minute. Every comment, whether anonymous or from a fake name, echoes my mother's tone and Bryce's spite. They were carefully crafted, not like amateur complaints, but like a deliberate takedown campaign. I fought them. God, how I fought. I sent Google and Yelp copies of the bank report, the video from my phone, even screenshots of Bryce's texts. I wrote professional explanations. This is part of a personal smear campaign. The only response I got was a soulless, automated email. We have reviewed your complaint and found these reviews do not violate our community policy. My phone rings on the desk, the sound making me jump. I've learned to hate that sound. I glance at it. Martin Lowell, Austin Modern. My heart sinks. This is it, the final blow. Martin is my biggest client. I take a breath, trying to keep my voice steady. This is Emery. Emery? Hi. Martin Lowell. His voice is too kind. That's always a bad sign. Listen, I'll be direct. We're going to have to pause the design contract for the South Congress project. I close my eyes. I understand, I say, the words feeling like ash. He sighs. It's not me, Emery. Your work is excellent. But the board. They saw the reviews. They see words like unstable, and they think lawsuit. Our investors are nervous. I understand. I repeat. What else can I say? That my mother did it. It sounds crazier than the reviews. I'm really sorry, Emery. Thanks for calling me, Martin. I hang up. The condo is silent. That's the third contract canceled this month. The one that was keeping my lights on. My mind drifts across town. I know what I'd find if I drove past the storefront Bryce had leased. A big, red, for lease sign hanging in the window. The grand opening banner he'd boasted about never having made it past the planning stage. His company, the one entirely dependent on that fraudulent loan, had collapsed before it even began. I'd called the bank. I'd canceled the appraisal. I'd reported the identity theft. I had won. But it's a small, hollow comfort, considering my career might soon follow his. I close my laptop. I walk to the window, looking out at the glittering Austin skyline. 8 years. I gave up New York for this view. I fought my own family to keep it. And now I have it, but I'm losing the career that pays for it. Sometimes winning feels an awful lot like losing. A hot tear of anger, not sadness, but pure, raw injustice slides down my cheek. I wipe it away, not gently, but angrily. No. I say the word out loud in the empty room. No, she doesn't win. He doesn't win. I look at my hands, the hands that sketched hundreds of designs, the hands that chose every fabric, every piece of stone. They're still here. They're still capable. I built this business from scratch, with nothing but talent, $20,000, and blind determination. I've lost my reputation, but the talent is still here. I can rebuild it. One client at a time, if I have to. I walk back to my desk and open my laptop again. I ignore the Google business page. I open my design software. I open the project file I'd been working on tirelessly for weeks, my submission for the city's Young Entrepreneur Program. The reviews could hurt me, but they couldn't stop my work. At least this time, I'm standing on ground that's truly mine. 5 months since I firmly claimed this house as my own. Sunshine streams through freshly washed windows, painting golden rectangles across my living room floor. The space breathes differently now. Potted herbs line the kitchen windowsill. Basil, mint, and rosemary, releasing their fragrance when my fingers brush against them. The snake plant beside my drafting table has sprouted 3 new shoots since January. Green things growing, small promises kept. My phone pings. An email from the City of Austin's Young Entrepreneur Program, the one I applied for in February when business was still a skeletal version of itself. Congratulations, Miss Nash. We are pleased to inform you that your application has been accepted. I read it twice, then a third time, just to make sure the words don't rearrange themselves. My hands tremble slightly as I scroll down to find another paragraph inviting me to speak at their spring conference, a SXSW small business track panel. The road back wasn't quick or easy. After the 3-month smear campaign, I lost nearly half my clients. Each morning I'd wake up to check my business page, 1.5 stars glaring back at me like an accusation. But I refused to lie down and die. My business is under a personal smear campaign. I told every potential client who contacted me, laying the truth bare like tiles on a floor. Please judge me on my work. Some walked away. The ones who stayed, they saw my portfolio and decided it spoke louder than anonymous internet vitriol. I grab my coffee and step onto my small balcony. The April air carries the scent of someone's barbecue and freshly cut grass. A cardinal lands on the railing, considers me with a sideways glance, then flits away toward the oak trees lining the property. The elevator dings down the hall. I turn and catch Ethan retrieving his mail from the cluster of boxes near the lobby entrance. He glances up, notices me, and pauses. Unlike 6 months ago, there's no nervous hesitation, no pity in his eyes. "Saw, you're speaking at the SXSW Small Business Track," he says, folding a magazine under his arm. "That's big time. Congrats, Emery." No lemon tarts as peace offerings. No awkward attempts at rescue. Just simple acknowledgement between neighbors. "Thanks," I say, meaning it. Later that week, I stand at the edge of the conference stage, waiting for my introduction. My heart hammers against my ribs, but it's the clean fear of anticipation, not the dirty panic of those Saturday mornings when pounding at my door sent me into spirals of dread. The moderator's voice rings out. "Please welcome Austin-based interior designer and entrepreneur, Emery Nash." I step into the spotlight, my burgundy blazer a splash of color against the stage backdrop. The microphone feels solid in my hand as I begin to speak. The woman at this podium bears little resemblance to the silent girl who once sat at birthday dinners, fork suspended, while everyone laughed at her expense. When I finish, the applause washes over me, warm and validating. I step down from the platform, scrolling through my notes when I spot them. 2 familiar figures standing near the exit. My parents look smaller somehow. Dad's shoulders slope beneath his sport coat. Mom's hair is different, less severe. They approach hesitantly, like people who've forgotten how to navigate familiar terrain. "You did good, kid," Douglas says quietly, the nickname from my childhood landing awkwardly between us. Patricia's eyes search mine. Really search, instead of just skimming past to find what she wants. "Can we start over?" Her voice lacks its usual cutting edge. Something shifts inside me. Not forgiveness exactly, but perhaps the soil where it might eventually grow. "Maybe," I tell them, my voice steady, "when starting over isn't just about you losing control of me." I smile politely, turn, and walk away to join a group of my peers who are waving me over to their table. Behind me, my parents stand alone. Freedom isn't when they stop pulling you down, it's when you stop letting them. My hand hovers over the brass doorknob, cold metal, smooth from decades of palms pushing through. I should knock. I should announce myself like a proper daughter returning home at 9:47 on a Tuesday night. But I hear laughter inside the drawing room. The expensive kind. The kind that comes after the third pour of scotch that costs more per bottle than most people's mortgage payments. My father's voice cuts through first. Rich, confident. The voice he uses when he's about to close a deal or ruin someone's life. Sometimes both at once. "Another round, gentlemen?" Glass clinks. Ice rattles. Sloane's laugh follows, sharp and bright. I know that laugh. She saves it for moments when someone's about to get destroyed and doesn't know it yet. I've heard it directed at opposing counsel, at nurses who displease her, at me when I was 19 and stupid enough to think my computer science degree impressed anyone in this family. I should walk away. Drive back to my anonymous apartment with its second-hand furniture and working locks that keep out everyone, including the people who share my last name. But then I hear it. 3 words that root my feet to the Persian runner beneath them. Rosewood Cottage sale. My grandmother's house. The only place in my entire childhood where someone looked at me and saw something other than a disappointment in a cardigan. I lean closer. The door is old. The seal imperfect. Sound travels. 20 million. My father's voice carries the weight of confession. Bad cases. Thought I could win them. Gambled wrong. Bryce Sterling speaks next. My ex-boyfriend. The one who told me I was brilliant right before he told me I wasn't wife material. His voice has that oily quality investment bankers cultivate. Smooth and slick and utterly without friction. The cottage appraises at $850,000. Quick sale, clean paperwork. My commission is 8%, $160,000 for me, enough to cover your immediate obligations, and Meredith never has to know the extent of the problem. Sloane laughs again. She won't ask questions. She never does. Just signs whatever you put in front of her and smiles like a grateful puppy. My chest tightens, not with surprise, with recognition. I could fix this. Right now. I could open this door, walk in, and offer to write a check. $20 million is nothing. Less than nothing. Aether Systems cleared $40 million in revenue last quarter alone, and the IPO opens tomorrow morning at a projected $84 per share. But I don't move. Because my father is still talking. Don't worry about her. She's too stupid to read the fine print. She'll sign whatever we put in front of her just to get a pat on the head. The words land like a fist to the sternum. Not a slap. A punch. The kind that knocks the air from your lungs and leaves you gasping. Stupid. She's been playing with computers for years. Sloane's voice drips with contempt. Still no real job. Still living in that sad little apartment. I posted a throwback photo of her last week, remember? From when she was 19? The comments were brutal. Everyone asking when she'll grow up and get a real career. At least the cottage sale is clean. Bryce again. Always Bryce, calculating his angle. She won't even understand what she's signing. Just tell her it's trust fund paperwork. She'll believe anything. My hand drops from the doorknob. 3 years ago, I paid off Sloane's credit card debt. $50,000 in charges for handbags and spa, weekends and bottles of wine that cost more than some people's cars. I did it anonymously through a shell company, because I knew if she discovered I had money, she'd never stop asking for more. I thought I was protecting her. Protecting all of them. Silent protector. That's what my therapist called it before I stopped going to therapy, because sitting in an office talking about my feelings felt like admitting defeat. I protect people who don't protect me back. I sacrifice for people who see sacrifice as weakness. My grandmother knew. She tried to tell me, sitting in the kitchen at Rosewood Cottage when I was 16, teaching me to code on her ancient desktop computer that took 5 minutes to boot up. You're worth more than their approval, Mary. I didn't believe her then. I wanted to, but I didn't. Now, standing in this hallway, with my family's laughter echoing through the door, I feel something shift. Something cold and clean and sharp. They don't misunderstand me. They despise my intelligence because it threatens their control. I turn. My footsteps make no sound on the runner as I walk back down the hallway, through the foyer, out the front door. Kalen stands beside my car, his posture military straight despite the late hour. He's been my head of security for 3 years, knows exactly who I am and what I'm worth, never told a soul. He opens the back door without a word. I slide into the leather seat. The door closes with a solid thunk that sounds like a vault ceiling. Get me the audit logs for Scott and Partners, I say. My voice sounds different, lower, colder. Tonight. Kalen's eyes meet mine in the rearview mirror. For 3 years, I've been the polite boss who says please and thank you, and apologizes when I ask him to work late. He sees something different now. Yes, boss. The engine starts. We pull away from the estate, from the people inside who think I'm too stupid to read fine print, too weak to understand what they're doing to me. They're wrong. And in 24 hours, they're going to realize exactly how wrong they've been. The Four Seasons suite costs $8,000 a night. I'm not staying here for the thread count. I'm here because the walls are soundproof, the internet connection runs on dedicated fiber, and nobody from my family would ever think to look for me in a hotel that requires a black card just to book a room. It's 2:30 inches the morning. 3 monitors glow blue across the mahogany desk, each one displaying a different layer of Scott and Partners' financial infrastructure. My fingers move across the keyboard without conscious thought, muscle memory, from 10,000 hours of coding, translating into commands that peel back every transaction, every wire transfer, every desperate attempt my father made to cover his losses. Aether Systems provides cybersecurity to his firm, has for 2 years. He doesn't know that. Doesn't know that every email, every financial record, every panicked message to his accountant flows through servers I control. He called me stupid. I pull up the first document. A case file from 18 months ago. Richard Scott, representing a pharmaceutical company against a class action lawsuit. The opposing counsel had documentation, witnesses, momentum. My father bet $6 million on a settlement that never came. Lost everything. Next file. Another